It's the first draft in WWE history as Raw GM Ric Flair and SmackDown GM Vince McMahon try to assemble the best roster. We have a triple threat for the Undisputed Title, champion Triple H versus Chris Jericho versus Stephanie McMahon. If Triple H pins his wife, she must leave the WWE, but if she pins Trips or Jericho, she'll become the first ever female Undisputed Champion. This is the Box of Wrestling review of the March 25th, 2002 episode of Raw. We open with Linda McMahon telling us we're about to witness the first ever World Wrestling Federation draft. We'll see the first 20 picks on TV, and the remaining picks will be shown on WWF.com after the show. Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and Chris Jericho are barred from the draft because they have that match for the title tonight, and the champion is supposed to appear on both shows. Stone Cold Steve Austin is also out of the draft because of a, quote, contractual clause. We start with some action as Taz makes his way to the ring, and he's taking on Mr. Perfect. He says he's the perfect draft pick and demonstrates this by elbowing Taz in the face. Perfect explodes off the ropes with a nice drop kick. Perfect plex, but imperfect execution as Taz is too close to the ropes. King with a completely ridiculous call. He claims that he spoke to Mr. Perfect before the match, who said that he believes when he beats Taz, it'll put him in a position to be the #1 draft pick. Yeah, if the winner of this match gets drafted #1, I'll eat my size 11 shoe, with some JR barbecue sauce. Taz mission out of nowhere, and Mr. Perfect taps. Taz tells him the perfect pick has become just another victim. This match didn't do anything for me, and felt like a missed opportunity. It would have been cool to have two wrestlers high up on the card to make it feel like an actual scouting tryout for the draft. Vince informs us he's defeated Ric Flair in the coin toss, so he gets the first pick. He really milks the moment while the fans do the what chant. And he selects Taz. Nah, I'm kidding. The Rock. So The Rock is the historic first pick, and look how happy he is. I like that we get a little fact sheet about him. The Rock comes out, and Vince immediately pisses off his #1 pick by listing some new Smackdown rules. #1, never put your hands on Vince McMahon. #2, never talk about shoving your foot up anyone's candy ass. #3, never use the phrase, "It doesn't matter." This is just a week after Rock Hogan at WrestleMania 18, and Vince says The Rock and Hulk Hogan have a lot in common. They both have a massive ego, and Vince made Hulk Hogan, and he'd like to remind The Rock that he made him too. Vince tries to leave. Rock reminds us of the history he's made on Raw. It was on Raw when The Rock took Vince's face and shoved it straight up Rikishi's ass. Is this really what you want, Vince? Do you really want to take The Rock away from all of this?
I want to do Rock. It doesn't matter what you want!
The Rock says Vince didn't make Hogan, and he damn sure didn't make The Rock. The Rock's parents' genitalia didn't even make The Rock. It was the people who made The Rock. He leads the fans in a "you are an asshole" chant. This was all pretty by the numbers for Rock and Vince, but hey, an average Rock promo is still pretty great. We immediately go to Ric Flair's first pick. He says he picks a man who's a cornerstone of the WWF, The Undertaker. Taker's pissed. He and Flair have been feuding lately and even fought at WrestleMania 18. A disappointed Vince McMahon gets a visit from Kurt Angle. Angle says Vince hurt his feelings. Angle reminds Vince that he's an Olympic gold medalist. Undertaker barges in and tells Vince, "You assured me that Ric Flair wouldn't draft me to Raw." One pick in, and Vince is already in a tight spot.
Damn, we're in a tight spot.
Back to the ring, Edge comes out to "Never Gonna Stop." I forgot about that song. On SmackDown, Edge lost a WrestleMania rematch to Booker T when Kurt Angle interfered. DDP comes out and it looks like he's tagging with Edge. Their opponents are Christian and Booker T. I guess SmackDown was screwjobs galore because Christian cost DDP a European title shot against William Regal. Power of the punch prevails. So I'm watching this match and something dawned on me. I'm so interested in finding out the draft order that I'm having a hard time sitting through the matches. Anyway, nice power slam from Christian to Edge. Nice spine buster from Edge to Christian. Both of them tag out, and they pretty much brawl on the outside for the rest of the match. DDP wants a diamond cutter, but Booker pushes him into Christian, who hangs him up on the ropes. Booker misses a scissors kick and walks right into a diamond cutter. DDP looks at his hand like he might spin a Rooney, but he just goes for the cover. Damn it, don't tease me like that. Christian breaks up the pin and hits the unprettier, then goes right back to brawling with Edge. Scissors kick, and I had a feeling poor DDP was eating the pin in this one. This match was really short, and half of it was dueling finishers, but it might have just been the prescription I needed to cure my eagerness to skip the match and get back to the draft. This match was quick, fun, action-packed, and got me interested. Well done. Angle's still in Vince's war room, only now he's just reading his own resume, trying to get Vince to pick him next. Vince is thinking NWO for his next pick, but Angle assures Vince that Flair doesn't want a cancer like the NWO. He wants an Olympic gold medalist. Vince decides to shut him up by announcing his second pick right then and there. It's Kurt Angle. I'm a little disappointed he didn't name someone else just to get Angle's reaction. Angle's satisfied for about a second, then bitches that he wasn't picked first. Ric Flair comes out and he's ready for his second pick. He chooses the entire NWO. How's that legal? That's right, it's a 3-for-1 deal. Though by NWO he means Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and X-Pac, as Hogan has already turned face and left the group. And if you saw my Raw Gets the F Out review, you'll know that even with the 3-for-1 deal, yeah, this was a terrible pick at number 2. Vince yells at Angle because Flair taking the NWO is exactly what he said would happen. Angle calms Vince down and tells him he knows a guy who's been gone for a while. Someone who's going to come back stronger and better than ever. He whispers a name in Vince's ear, and Vince is immediately persuaded. He makes his third draft pick, Chris Benoit. I also love that Angle has just inserted himself into Vince's war room. Flair's being harassed by the NWO, whom he just drafted. He says his next pick is going to be working with the NWO directly. His next pick is Kane. Alright, like it or not, we've got another match. It's Trish versus Ivory. Almost immediately, there's a "We Want Puppies" chant. Trish leaps off the turnbuckle, but it doesn't work out for her. Love this. Ivory just claws at Trish's nostrils. It's not a legal move, so she has to give it up before the 5 count. Trish does that handstand move and a very floaty Stratisfaction for the win. So, like this other match, this was short and managed its time fairly well, but I'm not really sure what purpose this served. Vince comes out for his 4th pick, and credit to the crowd in Penn State, they launch into the "You are an asshole" chant from earlier. He takes Hollywood Hulk Hogan for Smackdown. After how big the Rock-Hogan match was at WrestleMania, it seems downright absurd it would take them this long to draft Hogan. Flair comes out and announces he's taking Intercontinental Champion Rob Van Dam. Vince is pissed, and Angle asks, since when did Vince become such a RVD fan? Vince says RVD has the Intercontinental title, which is now going to Raw. Angle says that if Vince wants the Intercontinental title on SmackDown, all he has to do is schedule a match between Angle and RVD tonight, and Angle will win the title no problem. That's actually pretty brilliant. The Lug's boot of the week is less a boot and more The Rock being powerbombed through a table. Hogan tried to make the save and got blasted with a chair by the newest NWO recruit, X-Pac. Hogan suggests with NWO going to Raw and the two of them headed for SmackDown, tonight is their last chance to get even. How about a handicap match between the NWO versus Rock and Hogan? Rock asks the NWO, what you gonna do when Rock and Hogan run wild on you? Hogan says they're gonna lay the smackdown on their candy asses, brother. This is nice. Vince, being drowned out by another "You are an asshole" chant, drafts the tag team champions Billy and Chuck. To celebrate, they go out for new robes and headbands. Hogan and X-Pac lock up, and Hogan just tosses his ass out of the ring. The crowd goes nuts. X-Pac decides he's suffered enough humiliation and tags out. We get a ticker during the match with all the draft picks thus far. That's a nice touch. Hulking up against Nash as he knocks some NWO heads together. Hot tag to The Rock as he lays the smackdown on Nash's candy ass, then DDT on Hall. X-Pac hits Rock from behind and strikes a kung fu pose. But Rock leaps up, hits his own kung fu pose, and slaps the taste out of his mouth. So good. Rock bottom on Nash, but X-Pac saves the pin as the 3-2 disadvantage catches up with the babyfaces. X-Pac gets out his nunchucks, but it's Kane! Hall does a little dance when Kane grabs him by the throat, and the winner of this match by disqualification, the NWO. Oops. Well, Kane saved Rock and Hogan a nunchuck beatdown, so they don't seem too mad at him. I liked the match and I liked the interference, though I'm a little confused why Kane is here. Is he just taking orders from Ric Flair? I get Kane is a good guy, but this seems a little out of character. Vince busts into Flair's war room and yells at him about his draft pick so far. So Flair announces he's taking Booker T. Not to be outdone, Vince says he's taking the guy that got a big victory over Booker T at WrestleMania, Edge. Flair drafts Big Show. Vince drafts Rikishi. Flair says hopefully we'll get to see Rikishi sit his big fat ass on Vince's face again. I kind of feel like that's more a diss towards Rikishi than Vince. The Hardys and Lita come out with matching glow-in-the-dark jackets. I don't feel like Billy and Chuck got new robes or new headbands. Billy and Chuck defeated the Hardys on Smackdown with the help of their stylist, Rico. Man, that episode of Smackdown really was just bullshit finishes. This match is one-on-one, Jeff versus Billy. Billy goes for a crummy-looking flying clothesline that Jeff dodges. I do like Billy's dazed walk afterwards, though. King suggests JR get himself a personal stylist like Billy and Chuck have. Jeff goes swanton, kicks Chuck away as Matt helps out, but misses it anyway. Rico gets the title to bash Jeff's brains with it. Lita completely misses a Hurricane Rana. Both of her legs hit on one side of Rico's shoulders. But Rico sold the hell out of it anyway, and it was still a cool moment. Billy's distracted by all of this, and Jeff rolls him up for the win. Another short match, and it's a shame Lita missed the spot, but that all worked for me. Flair foolishly shows his hand by saying he wants the most dominant tag team in WWF history, the Dudleys. He takes Bubba. So of course, what does Vince do? Obviously, he takes Devon. The Dudleys are pissed. Quit shouting though, Devon. You're upsetting Trish. JR calls the Dudleys the most honored tag team in the history of the business. Odd to hype them up this much when you're breaking them up. Here's Rikishi, European champ William Regal making his way, but Brock Lesnar out of nowhere. And look at this F5. Damn. Okay, I just looked it up and Brock Lesnar debuted the week before this on Raw. I'm not really sure how to grade this segment, so I'm just gonna base it entirely off of that F5. Jazz in WWF New York reminding us that as women's champion, she'll appear on both shows. She also reminds us that she's the baddest bitch in the WWF. Good to know. Vince is back and wow, I think this is the loudest "you are an asshole" chant yet. The crowd's really been practicing. Impressed by what he just saw, he takes Brock Lesnar. Then Ric Flair comes out and reminds us it's actually his pick. He picks Brock Lesnar. That was a weird and dumb exchange. Vince says he'll take a man who has just as much potential as Lesnar, Mark Henry. Oops. Nothing against Mark Henry. Flair picks European champion William Regal. It's Vince's final pick, the hardcore champion, Maven. By the way, the Cruiserweight title is the only title never drafted. It just randomly goes to SmackDown from the lottery afterwards. Really shows you what they think of the Cruiserweights. Cruiserweight division is one of the things I think of when I think of early 2000s SmackDown. Ric Flair uses his final pick on Lita. Vince chastises Flair for wasting his last draft pick on a woman, and the fans support Lita by booing his ass. Then Vince says the only reason Flair chose a woman is because he's a lascivious pig. This moment in time between these two men did not age well. Time for Angle versus RVD, as Angle has one chance to bring the Intercontinental title to SmackDown. Angle hits a big German suplex before they even ring the bell. Sweet flippy dodge from RVD. Beautiful overhead belly to belly from Angle. Rolling Thunder from RVD. Scoots Angle away from the ropes, but not enough. It's a rope break. RVD goes up top, but Angle shoves the ref in the way. Rob checks on the ref and gets an Angle slam for being a good Samaritan. Angle hits the ankle lock, and just when this match is getting going, the ref wakes up and calls for the bell. Edge comes out to get some payback on Angle for interfering with his match on SmackDown. They mix it up for a bit and Edge hits the spear. I liked the match and I liked the Edge interference. The finish for the match was confusing because we see wrestlers shove refs all the time and don't get disqualified. Steph is on her way to the ring for the main event. It's kind of weird we've gotten no hype for this match all night. Michael Cole reminds Steph that if she gets pinned by Triple H, she must leave the WWF. She says that not only is she staying in the WWF, she's going to be on both Raw and SmackDown Because she's about to be undisputed champion. And there's a very high-pitched pop. The ladies in the crowd are into it. Jericho knocks Trips out of the ring. Steph lies down and tells Y2J to pin her. Wow, Jericho didn't even have to finger poke her. 1, 2, and Triple H grabs Jericho's foot to break up the pin. Triple H catapults Jericho into Steph, who of course falls on Jericho's nuts. Jericho takes control and allows Stephanie to get some offense in. Ah, look how proud she is. But the good feelings don't last long when Jericho gets shoved into Stephanie, who of course slaps Jericho, who of course shoves Stephanie. Cooler heads prevail as Steph reminds Jericho that Triple H is the enemy. Jericho agrees, but then eats shit on a lion salt. And Steph goes for the pin on Jericho, who kicks out at 2. Awkward. Attempted slap countered into a walls of Jericho. Triple H makes the save before she taps out. Jericho hits the walls. Triple H can't reach the ropes, and Stephanie breaks it up. She's had a change of heart and decided she can win this thing. Triple H hits the pedigree on Jericho, and Stephanie breaks up the pin. Steph, your courage is truly inspirational. But now what? She gets spine busted and pinned 1, 2, 3, meaning she's banned from the WWF. Sorry to disappoint, folks. No pedigree. Ouch, quit stepping on her boobs. Triple H lives the dream as he gets to call security to haul away his ex. He leads the crowd in Hey Goodbye as they literally drag Stephanie away, both kicking and screaming. Triple H had just won the title at WrestleMania. There was no doubt that he was going to win, but they had some fun with Stephanie being in the match, and the possibility of her being banned from WWF made it more interesting. So, how do I rate the March 25th, 2002 episode of Raw? This is one of the better episodes I've reviewed on this channel. This was sports entertainment at its finest. It was pretty much mostly about the draft, but the matches were short, fun, and didn't get in the way of that overall storyline.